Dark Funeral, absolutely destroying it. But right now, it is time. It is time. It is interview time. We're talking to Veriteras right now. We got Santu and Sean. I got my co-host Z helping on the interview. What is up, guys? Welcome to Ashland, Oregon, and everybody around the world. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Yeah, thanks for having us back. It's so good to be here.
Dude,
yes, thank you.
I'm stoked, dude, because since the last time, we grew up as people, as individuals. We've been through trials and tribulation. The gas has gone up $3 since we last talked. It's like so many things.
Yeah.
But what's awesome, dude, is that you guys have a lot of you guys are with the scene starting coming back up. You guys are on fire, releasing a new album today. Shadow of Death was absolutely amazing, dude. And me and Z here had nothing but great things to say as soon as we were playing it. And it's so awesome, dude. Like, I remember you guys telling me, or Santu specifically, put a lot of hard work into this, and it's really gonna leave a mark, dude. And I feel like listening to it, I was just like, damn. Because you listen to it on the phone, and I feel like the phone doesn't do it justice, because the phone kind of feels like kind of how it feels eating like a smushed McDonald's cheeseburger. They're just all smushed together. But when you're the big speakers, it's like a properly proportioned cheeseburger. And, I finally got to experience it, and I was like, dude, this song's fire, dude. Like, I'm super excited, dude. But since we last talked, oh, go ahead, Santu.
Do you have a burger analogy for other effects like reverb and delay and maybe like a limiter or something like that?
No, dude. I bank on my outstanding wit to come up with these on air, off the top of my head.
Man.
And I'm always thinking about food, so it's easy to transition.
Yeah, exactly.
That's perfect.
As I'm talking to you, all I can hear is sizzling in the background. Like when I get home, that sirloin couldn't really get it,
Man, now you're gonna all of your listeners are gonna want McDonald's. So
yeah, I know I should get paid. McDonald's, send me free cheeseburgers at KSKQ.
Oh yeah,
all right.
Hell yeah.
So guys, since we last talked, you guys have been, like I said, released this fire of an album, dude. So I feel like listening to your last music, where I feel like this one is you guys really took some leaps and bounds, dude. Like that song, really, I'm not saying that you guys weren't amazing before, but when I listen to the song, Slave to Fear, I think it was the song that we played. And dude, it's sounds fantastic, dude. Like if you guys are gonna go across, to another country, dude, you guys are gonna slay them. But tell me what went into this album, dude, and what was the goal behind, what was the end game behind this album?
Yeah.
Good question.
But Sean, should
Sean, understand too.
Santu, all you, man.
I mean, I think it kind of has a long arc where we released 2 EPs, and we intentionally worked with different people to mix the songs, not knowing what we were doing, and we quickly learned that while we need to hire somebody to do the mixing, because it makes a huge difference in the quality of the sound, and hiring professionals to do it is just leaps and bounds better than anything we could produce. And B, the person who does it has a huge impact. There's kind of adding a whole new person to the band. So for the first 2 EPs, there's 3 songs on each. We had 4 or 5 different people, maybe 4 people mixed songs on them. And so that was kind of us experimenting both with recording techniques and who were we working with. And then from there, we picked one of the guys that we really liked working with, Don Gunn, here from Seattle. He lives a mile away from all of us too anyways. He's phenomenal, worked with a lot of really great bands, and worked with him for this album. And I think maybe our approach, at least for me, was I don't know how many albums we're going to make, it's the world is an uncertain place, and you never know what happens in the future. That let's try to make this as good as we can. We've kind of done some experimenting with our EPs, so let's kind of go all in on this full-length album. So, and I think Slave to Fear, that's. So I sent you a couple songs that weren't our singles. Slave to Fear is one of my favorite songs on there.
And that's one of 2 we're playing songs. Baron later.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Sweet. Okay, yeah.
But
Slave to Fear and Suomala are 2 songs that Sean and I collaborated on more. That it's interesting to see that and I think those are some of my favorite songs, that when you add kind of new ideas and kind of song DNA from other people and kind of combine that together, creates kind of a unique sound. So,
Dude, I
that's kind
think
of my
that.
thoughts. What do you think, Sean?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think for the record, like Santu is the songwriter extraordinaire, and kind of how things work behind the scenes is like, for example, for like 3 or 4 songs that we've written, I will give Santu a half form song where I'm like, this is pretty badass. Like in deep down, that's maybe what I think, but I'm like, until it gets in his hands, and we make, as he says, a song baby together, it's not finished. And so I think if you listen to Slave to Fear and Swombala, you can hear kind of our 2 mutual like song DNAs kind of working together. But yeah, Santu, like he just has a way of polishing turds, as it were. And so I'm happy to hand them off. But yeah, that's something I think you hear on this as well. And like you said with Don Gunn, it does make a huge difference just driving over to somebody's house and like working on the mixes and kind of honing things and trying to figure out what sound you want. I think that's something that's really hard, that until you've gone through it, you don't really understand. But yeah, I'm stoked to co-write more stuff in the future. Hopefully it sounds as good as this album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just listened to that album today. I really liked it, and the thing is, you don't look like the music you wrote. Like Amon Amoth, you should look like Amon Amoth because the way it sounds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but what is your influences on this record and in general? Because I heard a little bit of everything: some symphonic, some black, some folk.
Yeah, I mean, Amon Amarth, that's certainly one of the influences. Scandinavian melodic death metal. I mean, for
definitely.
me, yeah. I mean, I was born in Finland, but grew up in the U.S. That I feel like it's part of it is like just like in my roots in a way, that like it's, I don't know, my country's music in a way. But like In Flames is a huge influence. Like kind of their earlier repertoire. Kalma has been a really big band, kind of a huge influence on me. I think some Insomnium in there, which they kind of almost have like a blackened tinge to them. But like, yeah, that Scandinavian melodic death metal scene, I think, has been just a huge impact.
I could definitely hear it in that album because I know you guys from America until I looked at your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Like, oh, our English is halfway decent. Santu's is a little rough around the edges, but
this is how I really talk. But
yes. Perkele. Yeah, no. I think pretty much the same thing, at least in terms of influences. So just a little bit of backstory. I think we might have covered this in the previous interview. But yeah, the fact is like Santu and I kind of came together through my brother-in-law, who's a mutual friend. And we realized, wow, we really like the Scandinavian melodic death metal scene, which includes absolutely Amon Amarth. Amon Amarth was the first metal show I ever went to, actually.
Oh, jealous.
Yeah, it was awesome. In 2006, I think they came to town, and it was
Sonic Syndicate.
What's that?
Sonic Syndicate.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was. And so Santu and I think the first show we ever went to was Sonic Syndicate. I think. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Anyway,
old stuff.
Yeah, like I mean, we have a lot of shared influences, and I think what's funny hearing people who are metalheads listen to our stuff is like we just kind of create what we create, and we hope it's decent, but we don't really know where it fits kind of in that scheme of genres. And so I think for us, it's a combination of melodic death metal and with some black metal influences for sure. Like I'm wearing a Dawn shirt. I love the band Dawn, which if they're listening someday, finish your fucking album, please. It's only been 20 years since they've been trying to finish it. But anyway, they're kind of a melodic death black album. And I think, we're kind of in similar vein.
Yeah,
but
it's totally bad. Oh, go ahead, Santu.
It is interesting though that like the US and maybe, I don't know, maybe like the Pacific Northwest, like there's not a ton of melodic death metal. Like there's a lot of other kind of sub genres, but I feel like we're a little bit different in that respect, that we have like a very European sound that like Crepuscle from California, like those guys have a very kind of Scandinavian melodic death metal sound, but I don't feel like there are too many bands that kind of go that route here in the Northwest.
No, they don't.
Well, that's pretty. I think that's pretty rad, dude. And my head was still going around what you guys were telling me, how like you guys had a bunch of people coming in the mix. You said the first EP, right? You guys were like experimenting with all sorts of people, and then you had this one guy come in. Like, how do you know when something's like a final product? Do you just take that person's word for it and just be like, all right, like we're putting our career in this guy's hand and hope that this guy's reputation like leads us in the right way? Or do you guys like ever like try to give your word and critique and be like, hey man, like I know you're like award winning or this and that, but it kind of sucks. like I don't know, how do you know when you guys know that you're ready to release something like this? It's, especially with all the big things you're doing this year.
For me, it's when Sean's happy with it, because his ear is far better than mine.
I am very picky. I think I've listened to metal. I'm the kind of person that will listen to an album 100 times, and then I'll kind of put it on the shelf for a while and then listen to it. But yeah, I think it's really difficult. I think it really depends on the band as well. We were lucky in the sense that the person who mastered our album is Jens Bogren, which you might be familiar with his stuff. You've certainly listened to his stuff if you didn't know it, but he's kind of a big deal with the bigger sort of Swedish bands. And I knew I kind of liked that sound, the Fredrik Nordstrom sound, which is like the typical early, Gothenburg melodic sound. And what I loved about working with Dawn is that Dawn has done, I think, a couple sort of metal records, but it wasn't until we kind of really got through the creative process and recorded things that it was like, I would go over to his studio and just kind of be like, hey, this like little part here, I want to hear more like balls. And so like the word that we ended up using a lot was like, we want more balls. And take that to be what it may be, but the fact is it turned out well. And like, I think there's a weight to the mix that took a while to kind of hone. And we're happy with it. Like, we learned a lot. I think Satu would definitely agree with that for next time, but it's very different than recording stuff from home like we're used to. That's for sure.
And absolutely, that like working with a professional, like an audio engineer, like it's a collaboration that I don't think anybody should be like, well, this guy said it's supposed to sound good. It doesn't sound good to me, but they must be right. That like,
exactly.
I think a big part of it too was like, for me, was kind of trusting my own ear of like, I don't think that sounds good, so we should change it. And that's okay,
Yeah, that's not true. I don't think I have anything else to say, but yeah, it's a really good mix. It's definitely not overly polished, and it still has a little bit of roughness to it. So yeah, I was impressed. Also, I'll be contacting you guys later tomorrow for a copy of that EP for my own show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So I really want to dig into this because this could be a huge topic. But you guys are planning to go to Satu's stomping grounds, where he's from, and play this tour, man. So I know a lot of bands that have gone to Europe before, and I know how a lot of people do it. As far as like borrowing equipment a lot of the times, and setting up shows like that, or like everybody spending $5,000 on a Kemper, or all sorts of things like that. But man, like to do that for your band and have that long of day runs, like where did you guys even start off? Like what was step one, first of all, before even booking all this? And when did it start becoming realistic where like, oh wow, like this is getting done? Like tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first, like, just let it be known that like we're not going on tour in Finland because like we're this big band and we have a bunch of people there that are like followers of us. We're going because we want to, and we decided to spend the time and money to do it. It's like that's just a amazing experience. I mean, the first step was recognizing that nobody's going to book some no-name wannabe melodic death metal band from the US. With Finland, it's like we're one of very few melodic death metal bands in the Northwest. Like every single city in Finland that has like 50,000 people has like 5 really good melodic death metal bands. So like there's just like that. It's just so dense that the first step was I went out to Metal Archives, that website, Encyclopedia Metallum, and like filtered for bands in Finland that aren't on a label, that are active, and then kind of went through and screened out bands that actually were active and had released something in the last couple of years, and then just started sending out emails to them. I'm fluent in Finnish, but I'm stupid in Finnish, and so I tried to communicate in Finnish as best I could to kind of. I was hoping maybe there'd be some charm. They're like, oh, that's cute. He's trying to speak Finnish. But I was totally blown away by like the responsiveness of bands that I think were kind of a novelty too. Like, oh, this American band reached out and they want to play a show with us. Yeah, that sounds. If a Finnish band sent me an email and said, hey, would you help us line up a show in Seattle? Like, absolutely, I would.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And from there, it kind of started to build into kind of, I wanted to approach venues with like a proposed lineup as opposed to just like kind of an individual band. So then we kind of developed kind of the list of venues that we're going to reach out to and just started sending out emails. I mean, a lot of it was just persistence and volume of emails sent until responses came in. But I mean, with COVID, like things I think felt really uncertain for a long time. And I think it's just the last, I mean, we'll have probably 7 shows booked. So it's like, it's not that long of a tour. But maybe just like the last couple months of like, okay, I think this is really going to happen. I mean, assuming that like World War III doesn't break out and, across the world. It's like, I think this is actually going to happen because Finland does border Russia. But yeah, so I think the biggest parts are just like doing some research to connect with local bands from Finland, and then just being persistent about reaching out to people in venues.
Dude, so how does the equipment work out? How are you guys gonna work that out?
Yeah, Sean, you're bringing all your stuff, right?
Yeah, you were gonna say like a Kemper. So when I make a little more money, I'm not redoing my entire house like I'm doing right now. I'll get a Kemper, but for now I'm rocking a HX Stomp, which is great because I can just have a pedal board and then hook that up to a PA.
Okay,
yeah.
So here's the thing though too. When you guys got all your venues, did you guys contact all the venues out there and see what kind of PAs they had? So that way, like you plugged in, you would know not to sound like crap.
That's something literally Santu and I were talking about last night coming back from practice, where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna be able to.
I'm a guitarist, dude.
Yeah, you get it. You get it. I was like, kind of living the dream would be running a couple PV 5150s or half stacks or something like that. So we'll see what we end up with, but we're in the progress of figuring all that stuff out. It's not straightforward.
Yeah.
Right.
We're renting most of the equipment. I mean, that's basically what we're doing. I mean, we'll bring our guitars. I don't think Jeff, bass players, I think he's like, I'm not taking my bass on a plane. I'm renting everything from Finland. We should go from there. And there are several places that rent equipment for backlines for tours and stuff like that. So
that's awesome, dude. Santu, do you have any family over there?
I do, yeah, aunts and uncles and cousins. My mom lives here.
So are you guys gonna be crashing over there while you're playing and all that?
Yeah, we'll we have a couple of rest days in a small town called Iisalmi, which is where my family comes from, and we'll be staying in my grandma's condo in downtown Iisalmi that has like 20.
That's epic, dude. Your band is gonna have such a blast. I'm so jealous. That sounds so sick.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, you guys gotta be rock stars, man.
Well, we want to be rock stars in our favorite country for metal.
Yes.
You know what? Here's the thing. It's like, I don't know. I guess my definition of rock star is like, if you're doing what you love, then you're already doing it. What's a rock star? What, a hotel room in Las Vegas at 4 a.m. with like people ODing and getting drunk and people trying to hang off the windowsills? I don't want that type of rock star. I want to tour and play shows like you guys, man. Go do some dreams, man. Because with being in a band and you want to be successful, You know, like the individuals in the band have to be responsible, have to like they all have to agree on the same thing, which is hard to do, and come to an understanding. So, you know, like, so when I see you guys having that type of opportunity, it all starts with you guys first before even the music. So I think it's so cool that like you guys have this awesome band where everybody's on board and really wants to do all these cool things, because that's where it starts, and then it's like, all right, guys, the music, you know. But
Absolutely.
that's so cool.
And the music. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it feels like a lot of it has to do with kind of having a shared vision for like setting expectations of like what are we setting out to do, and I think there's something really, you know, wonderful about creating music with other people, but also like working together towards a common goal. You know, it's like, so right now, kind of our goals have been like release an album. Like, well, we did that today, and then tour in Finland, and hopefully we get to do that in May. I think after that there'll be a period of like reassessing of like, or just stepping back of like, okay, how do we like that? Like, do we want to keep heading in that direction? Do we want to make adjustments? Like, what do we want to do next after that? So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's important to also recall that, you know, back in 2019, maybe we were in our bassist's little basement practice studio, and Santi brought up the point of like, hey, what kind of like dreams or aspirations are we kind of targeting as a band? And, you know, I think all of us were kind of on the same page, which, like you said, like Omar, it is something I take for granted, I think. And today, you know, I've been reflecting on the fact that like, yeah, we have people who are aligned with more or less the same goals. We're on the same page. We don't, like, our band doesn't have any drama at all. Like, we are having fun every week in and out. It's a fun, creative expression. And a couple years ago decided, hey, it'd be great if we released an album and traveled in Finland, and we're there, like, we're doing it. And so I think for us who are not professional musicians, it's kind of we are living the dream. We are like rock stars kind of in our own respective life goals, which, you know, maybe I've seen a lot of the interviews you've done on this channel. Like I've watched a ton of them, and with way bigger, you know, rock stars than us, but I feel like a rock star.
Hey, this is all love, man. You know what I mean?
You.
Like,
Yeah.
like I would hate it if I did a radio show and I just talked to like super big bands all the time. That would suck. Yeah. They already get enough advertisement. I'm not supporting local music by interviewing, or like if I got Rob Zombie, it's like, how am I helping Southern Oregon or the Pacific Northwest by just doing big interviews? All I'm doing is like flooding big pharma or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, gosh, that would suck. Imagine just talking to rock stars all day. It was horrible.
Depends on which ones.
Well, it's like the purpose is like, if I was doing that, it'd be like an ego thing, you know?
True.
Right.
I'd love to talk to Rick and Benjamin and Papa Roach personally. But
me too.
So, dude, Shadow of Death did such a great album. I'm so excited that you guys are releasing this. And hey, when are you guys going to Finland, by the way? When is this all planned?
We leave May 9th. First show is May 13th. So in a month, we'll be there picking up the band probably.
Dude, that is absolutely fantastic. So before we let you guys go, for the fans out there in Ashland, Oregon, if they were listening to your band for the very first time, what song would you recommend on the album, and how would you describe yourself in a quick sentence for people just tuning in if they came in halfway through the interview and didn't listen to the beginning?
Do you have a song, John, that you'd recommend?
I mean, I'll be honest, my favorite two songs on the album are not the ones that I wrote. They're Forever Enslaved. Okay, this is hard. You know, I'm gonna say Barren is one of them. Forever Enslaved is really good. This is not answering your question because I'm gonna say like two or three songs. But yeah, Endless Unknown. I have to say, Santu sent me that song like 2 summers ago, and I played the demo in my car like nonstop, and I was like, this has to end up on the album. So Forever Enslaved is probably my favorite song Endless Unknown is probably My favorite song on the album. So I would say for me, Endless Unknown. Song 2, I'm curious what you would say.
I would say Forever Enslaved. That to me, that's like our I don't know, kind of go-to song. But in terms of like who are we? You know, Veriteras, melodic death metal band from Seattle. Kind of we play like a blackened epic melodic death metal style that's kind of reminiscent of the Scandinavian death metal scene, melodic death metal.
I love it. Well, Santu and Sean, it was such a pleasure to talk to you guys. We have to do a round 3 when you guys get back from filming, because I want
Yeah.
and the whole interview should just be like a big old recap.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank you.
But guys, much love. Travel safe. We were talking to Santu and Sean from Veriteras. We're gonna play Baron right after this interview, dude. But dude, guys, be safe, keep rocking, and much love. And you guys have a good night. Thank you so much for being here on the Metal Mixtape in Ashland, Oregon.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
man. Thanks for having us.
Much love, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Peace. Metal.